Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Most cryptocurrencies are trading sideways, some a little up, some a little bit down, but XRP has been running. In fact, it's the best large cap coin over the last 24 hours in terms of market performance, price. XRP, at its high, it actually almost hit 41 cents. It was like a tenth of a penny away. And it's currently up about 7% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin's down 0.21%. I've got the top 10 cryptos by market cap on your screen if you want to take a gander here. XRP substantially outperformed and also moved up a fair bit in terms of market cap. So look, I want to share with you some thoughts here. I've got a really cool chart by Willy Woo, who I don't think is so much a fan of XRP, but you know what? These guys, they're in their echo chamber. Just because they're wrong about XRP doesn't mean they can't be right about other stuff, but he's got this really cool chart showing what happens, has historically has occurred, in terms of Bitcoin price action and actual accumulation points, and it's so telling. And we're at another one of these points where it's just like accumulation, man. It really is. And so even though the chart's for Bitcoin, I don't give a damn. Look, I'm invested in Bitcoin also. I'm invested in crypto in general. XRP happens to be my largest holding. It's my favorite cryptocurrency. It's the best crypto on the planet for payments so far as I'm concerned. Just in a general sense, it's blazing fast. You don't need to, make it scale additionally. Generally, like the solution's already out there. So there is all of that. But the market moves in tandem. So even when people put out these Bitcoin charts, I'm like, yeah, I do want to be aware of this. Of course I want to be aware of this. I also want to share with you the latest perspective from Dan Morehead, who is the founder and CEO of Pantera Capital, which launched the first ever cryptocurrency hedge fund in the United States. I've got something from Will Clemente in terms of what stable coins, depending on how much is on the sideline, how much is actually being used historically. What are the implications of that? And it's pretty damn positive at this point. So it's interesting. I just keep wondering, are most of the analysts that I follow correct in the sense that they think that we've either bottomed or we're about there? I'm kind of convinced that's what's more probable. Actually, I can say that. I don't know. I don't pretend to know for sure if it's 100%. Of course not. But in terms of what's more probable, I at this point I'm convinced it's more probable that we've seen the low, or we're like super duper close to it, even if you do have one final little leg down or something like that. But as far as the people saying, Bitcoin below $10,000, fine. I'm of the mindset, never say never, but in terms of probability, that doesn't seem as likely to me. I think that this has been an excellent dollar cost average point for those who were interested. Now, all that being said, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP is at 39 cents, and look at this headline too. I like this. Here we go. This is from A&B Crypto. Is Cardano, which is ADA, making an effort to take over XRP's position amid rising market cap? And then they just note here, as of July 29th, Cardano flipped XRP to become the 7th largest cryptocurrency in market value. Well, not only did XRP reclaim that since just like 5 seconds ago, not only did they reclaim that position from Cardano, XRP is actually at number 6 now. It jumped up to number 6. It's fascinating to see how XRP's been performing when the vast majority of the rest of crypto markets are not. But that happens. Every coin has its hot days, right? Even if not perfectly in line with other big movements in the space. But yeah, so here you can see where I'm circling 24-hour high, 40.9 cents for XRP. And Bitcoin was at its 24-hour high, 24,606. So it's corrected to the downside a bit. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, 39 out of 100. So at some point in the future, we will be back in extreme greed. I don't pretend to know when. Doesn't matter. We're going to get there, though. And then there was this, and these are like famous last words, which is the only reason I want to highlight this. I'm not going to read this article. But this article is titled, Last Chance to Buy XRP at 40 Cents. Here's why. So anytime I see that, I'm just like, famous last words, bro. I mean, if you say it enough, eventually it's going to be true. But I've seen comments like this so many times for over 4.5 years about XRP and other cryptocurrencies. So I'm just like, okay, say your thing. Say your thing, dude. Say your thing. But you better say it every single day so that one of those days it's finally actually true. And I do believe in a general sense, yeah, at some point there will be a final time where we're just never going to see 40 cents ever again, where we'll never see even $1 again, or $2 or $5, whatever. I believe those days will come. I believe that's what's reasonable to expect based on real world adoption, and just understanding at some point real utility will take hold and will matter sufficiently to people, even if it doesn't sufficiently matter today. It's just not as clear to enough people. There's so many coins out there, you couldn't possibly fully in-depth understand and research them all. Like, you can't. So it's a messy, long process to figure this all out. But it's certainly all coming. So, and I will say this, like, some of these prices that have occurred for XRP in the past, it's like, the only way you're going to see them again is if XRP literally fails and people decide that it's worth zero. If it goes to zero, fine. Like, do you think you're going to see half a cent or 1 cent XRP ever again? I don't, unless this fails. If it fails, yeah, sure, it'll get down to that and then it'll just go to zero forever. I don't see that happening, though, so fine. Eventually you do get to the point where it's like, yes, you're never going to see it at these prices again. But man, there's a reason I don't say that crap. Like, you don't know when it's going to happen. Then there's this from Willy Woo, one of the most famous and well-known individuals in the world of Bitcoin. Here you can see on Twitter he's got over 1 million followers, so kudos to him for that. And sometimes I think he has some interesting and insightful things to share, even though I'm not sure if he's an actual maximalist or he just doesn't seem to really like XRP that much, but you know what it is. These people, they get in their echo chambers and blah, blah, blah. But this is a chart titled Bitcoin Accumulation. The blue line, for those of you looking at the top, is Bitcoin price, dating back to the beginning. So you can see, as far as when it's tracked, it looks like it's, just however far, the beginning part of, I guess, 2010. And then the red line here shows accumulation of Bitcoin. And so if you compare that line of accumulation to what happens in terms of like how it correlates to Bitcoin price, what you notice is that you get these instances of bear market bottoms. And so yes, there's one day where if you look at the close for that day, that's the lowest day. So like, for instance, the last market cycle, it was December 15th, 2018. That was the lowest day. But if you look at bear market bottoms with that low there's still volatility, but it's at low price ranges, you could argue, like, tell me what your metrics are for determining what the bottom region is. But basically, that's what these gray circles are here. This is a region where prices were just pretty damn low. They were going down and then finally starting to go back up. And so these are capitulation events. That's what these are. That's what the red circle is. And then just, in general sense, the region around the capitulation event, the lowest point, that's what the gray circle is right there. And so what you notice is that accumulation of Bitcoin occurs intensely during these times that are supposed to be incredibly scary. This is why it's just a new way to visualize the message that I've been sharing the whole time I've been running this Moon Lambo channel with a silly ass name. And I think this is useful, though, to actually see these things and just let it sink in. If you're feeling scared being invested in crypto, well, hopefully you're not over leveraged, and nothing is guaranteed in life. Granted that. But look historically at what has happened. At these moments, you do have extreme accumulation. I've been sharing with you so many stories about accumulation, even on the retail side now, so institutional and retail. But these are supposed to be scary times. Price low, man. Price low. How's this happening? Well, there's always going to be a certain percentage of people out there who are willing to purchase your fear, if something's actually worth something. And markets are still figuring out crypto in general, but this makes sense to me. And so you can look at all of these moments in time, and then if you understand historically what follows, well, the market moves in tandem. So fine, it's a Bitcoin chart, but this should be exciting for anybody in crypto. Because right now, XRP still is tethered to the price action of Bitcoin in a general sense. Not today, see, not down to the second minute, the day, the week, so on and so forth. Like, XRP's having its day and Bitcoin's not. Awesome, fine, whatever. But what's even more exciting than that, as much as I love seeing XRP back in the 40-something cent range, which some people were calling for, what I love is that right now, even though I care about utility for the long term, in the short term, I'm still counting on a massive rocket up for Bitcoin at some point. Bitcoin's going to lead the charge, and I still think you're going to see XRP and altcoins in general rocket after that at some point. And why? Why would I say that? Well, even with the capitulation event now, I don't see most coins going to zero, do you? No, so this isn't the cleansing right now, right? There's no evidence of it. If something changes, I'll tell you. Like, where's the cleansing? Okay, so humans still haven't figured it out, even in 2022. Well, given that they're not going to zero and there are communities around these coins and stuff, what do you think is going to happen? people are just going to be wildly speculative moving forward. That's what this is. That's the reason I'm here. That's the purpose of investing, frankly. So, bro, I'm here for it. I'm just saying. Wait for this all to follow. And Dan Morehead has a similar idea, and I have a lot of respect for this guy. I find him to be one of the most honest and insightful people in crypto. So anytime I see that he's publicly speaking, if I can cover his exact words or just his ideas, if I can share it on my channel, I always really love to. He also, by the way, is one of the people that thinks that XRP will be one of the long-term winners. And he said, and I've covered this before, so I'll be brief, but he said something to the effect of, if you fast forward a decade, then, XRP will be one of the, maybe he said, like dozen or so cryptocurrencies that is actually here for the long haul. So, and he's been saying that stuff for years. So he's intellectually honest in a world where there's no shortage of Bitcoin maxi trolls in their echo chambers, staying warm under bridges next to dumpster fires, wearing helmets and Velcro shoes for their safety, right? There's no shortage of those people. But Dan Morehead's not among them, even though he's been around since almost the beginning. Again, like I said, his firm, Pantera Capital, started the first crypto hedge fund in the United States in 2013. So anyway, this Daily Hodl article is titled, "Is Crypto Bottom Fully In?" CEO of $5.1 billion digital asset fund says industry's stresses peaked in Q2. The CEO of crypto fund Pantera Capital, Dan Morehead, believes the worst of the crypto downturn may be over. Morehead, whose firm manages assets totaling approximately $5.1 billion, says the worst of the crypto crash occurred in May and June when the stresses in the system peaked. And here's a quote from him. "I think we're really close to the end. In any leverage situation, and particularly with decentralized finance, smart contracts, things do get liquidated pretty quickly." And let's just pause to note, and he went on to talk about this further in the article, or in the interview. Like, the reason that happened quickly is because it's just code. When you're talking about decentralized finance, terms between parties are agreed upon, and then when certain things occur, it triggers the code. Like, that's it. So it happens pretty damn quickly, and that can have cascading effects in the markets, but it is what it is. Anyway, he continues. "And the market's actually been going down for 8 months. The high was in November, so whatever stresses we were going to see in the system, they basically peaked in May and June. We already have companies that are in bankruptcy court liquidating. It feels like we have seen all that we have to. The markets can start trading on fundamentals again." End quote. So, had you thought about it in such terms? I don't know if I've articulated it like this, but the concept certainly crossed my mind. The high for crypto markets in general was November. So, if we've been in bear territory for this long, if this is the technical definition, if you will, of a bear market, and some say yes, some say no, but if it is, then we've been correcting for quite a while, actually. And we've had some really bloody stuff happen. Most or all of it's behind us, though. So what does that mean for the later part of this year? Well, I won't be surprised if, and I don't make price predictions, but I'll say this, I won't be surprised if markets are notably higher at the tail end of this year, or maybe it's the beginning part of next year, but I wouldn't be surprised in the least. At some point, it's just going to happen. Markets, unless you think that it's all crap and it's actually going to zero, and I don't, because there's real utility to be had here, they don't go down forever. Markets find floors, period. Which is why I don't freak out over stuff. I mean, there's so many other reasons, but it doesn't make sense to freak out. Anyway, piece continues. The Pantera Capital CEO says that during the worst months for the crypto industry this year, nearly all decentralized finance protocols performed well, and it's the centralized crypto lenders that failed. Now, I'll pause to note that that's almost exclusively true. Not exclusively true, because you can look at Terra. You can look at Luna. But if you look at in terms of lending platforms, the centralized crypto ones, they're like, think about it. Celsius, it's basically was a crypto bank, and you could go on like the ones we've been talking about them. Everybody's been talking about them. Those are the ones that had the biggest problems. But then the protocols that are just executing code, generally speaking, anyway, they fared much better, haven't they? And we'll see which ones rule the day ultimately. How many of them have truly long-term viability? But they worked about as expected to this point. And then when you're talking about Luna, well, that was a death spiral concept, which we can clearly see in hindsight. Have an algorithmic stable, like a stable coin, and that's backing, like Luna backing a stable coin. It's just insane. It's completely insane, but that's what they did. Anyway, here's a quote from Dan Moore, though. He says, "There's a lot of skeptics on blockchain, and many of them are promoting the view that DeFi failed, and that really isn't true. There are certainly some failures in the blockchain ecosystem, but almost all of them are centralized lending counterparties, which, really are essentially banks. Some of these entities operated just like banks, took in short-term deposits for that long, and then you had that old-fashioned run on the bank, and people wanted their cash now, and they were invested in things that didn't have liquidity. It really is essentially the centralized lending companies that failed, and almost all the DeFi protocols did very well." End quote. Interesting way of looking at things, isn't it? There's there's always going to be a place for centralized systems, including banks, in my mind. I do firmly believe it for a number of reasons I could expand upon, and I've talked about it on and off over years. But there's also clearly a place for DeFi. Could not be more obvious. It's a market making platform, effectively pairing people, and then you just set terms and bam, and then it just executes. It's code. Well, in a general sense, how does that not make sense? Of course it does. And then there's this from the Daily Hodl: crypto's dry powder indicator just flipped. Here's what's next, according to Will Clemente. There's a lot of dry powder in the crypto market, just as Bitcoin is showing a historical bottom indicator, according to popular on-chain analyst Will Clemente. In a new installment of the Blockware Intelligence newsletter analysis, Clemente tracks the combined market capitalization of the two biggest stablecoins, Tether and USDC, relative to the market cap of all crypto assets. The analyst notes, when the market cap of the two stablecoins is low compared to overall market, it indicates the macro top could be near, since there are limited new buyers. He highlights the opposite is also true. So basically, if just pause and note, and I'll share with you his quote, but if you just think in a general sense, if there's a bunch of stablecoins on the sidelines because people have been pulled out of markets because they don't want their lose value in the highly volatile world of crypto, if there's a bunch of stable coins on the side, what happens as markets think eventually we're at or near bottom? Well, what happens historically is more of those stable coins get deployed, which pushes prices for the highly volatile cryptos up. So check out this quote from Will Clemente. Conversely, whenever the ratio reaches the top of the channel, and there's a chart, by the way, for those of you who want to look, whenever the ratio reaches the top of the channel, it indicates that there is a large amount of dry powder on the sideline relative to crypto's aggregated market cap. As the market rallies, there is a stronger likelihood of market participants becoming induced to chase. The more dry powder, the more dry kindle there is for a spark to light on fire. After posting this last month, when the ratio reached the top of the channel, it has begun to roll over. Interesting, is it not? And it's all logical when you just sit here and think about it. And that's why all you can do is recognize, since we're human, we don't know the exact moment when these types of things will happen. But if you just draw upon history, you can come to these conclusions. And if you're like me, maybe you end up suspecting that in a general sense, there's going to be a little bit of history repeating, even if not perfectly, at least rhyming with itself. And that is what we continue to see. You've seen it in the stock market for over 100 years. You've seen it in crypto for over a decade, but this time's different. No, my friends. I don't even see, like I said a few minutes ago, I don't even see these crap projects out there that don't do anything. I don't see those going to zero yet. And if they start doing it, I'll talk about it. But I don't see the cleansing in this space yet. I just don't. Humans are demonstrating that they don't know, even at this point, with over a decade of this asset class existing, humans don't know what the hell deserves to be here. That's what that tells me. Humans are freaking clueless at this point. Now, it won't stay like that. It's just taking a long time. And there are other factors also, like, think about it. Communities, I mean, there are actual online communities, which you didn't really so much have with the dot-com boom and bust, and so that's a factor too. Like, to some degree, that's got to be. And there's just a frenzy and excitement around all this, so I understand it. But even though I know it's not going to stay like that forever, this is an illustration, a clear illustration of how much opportunity is to be had. You are so early. You are so early to this crypto party. And that is cause for excitement so far as I'm concerned. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.